Shall we get my final guest out, ladies and gentlemen? She is one of our most successful music icons, and before we meet her here, let me remind you why.
Tell me why.
Love those videos. Love Annie Lennox. Here she is, it's Annie Lennox, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. She's on down. How lovely, how exciting to have you here.
How exciting to be
Sit down and get comfy. Hey, nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, you're very welcome.
Oh, you know what? I've had the pleasure. I've been lucky enough to hear Annie Lennox sing live up close. Incredible voice. I mean, just an incredible voice. Did you train your voice? Could you always sing when you were a kid? Did you?
Yeah. I loved singing when I was very, very young. And I am trained as a piano player, but I'm not great. But I also play the flute very badly. But then, when I rejected the idea of being a classical musician, I started to get really interested in singing because I wanted to get away from all the training that I'd had. And I started to think that I wanted to be a singer, songwriter, performer. I wanted to record
What, was
music.
there a moment where you shifted, where you decided that the kind of classical training, was there a specific, was there a,
yes.
a reason?
It's an ironic thing, you know, because I come from the northeast of Scotland, as you can still hear it in my voice.
Yeah, you got Aberdeen originally.
Aberdeen. And it's quite a big achievement to get to the Royal Academy of Music, coming from a provincial town. But on the first day that I went to the academy, I looked around and I realised I wasn't with the people I thought I was going to be. Because I had some kind of... Do you remember, Jonathan, that there was a series called Take 3 Girls on the television?
Yeah, I
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I always thought it was going to be fantastic, it was going to be really romantic. And of course, when you're only 17 as I was, I had a very idealised romantic notion about London, about how I would meet my tribe, you know, and it would all be great. Yeah. And it was so different, because I ended up in a kind of student hostel in Camberwell, which was miles and miles away, and it's all, you know, it all went downhill from the very first day.
It was a bit grotty. You expected it to be like an exciting movie, and suddenly you're eating cold beans out of a can.
Yeah, very well. No, I managed to learned how to heat them up, but...
Before you went, though, your family were quite musical. Did your grandpa, is this true, your grandfather played the bagpipes?
My father actually did play the bagpipes. My family were quite musical, yes, and they used to sing a lot. So there was always that thing at home that singing was a natural thing. And I was part of, in schools in Aberdeen, they had a very good music department, and I used to go every Saturday to the music centre. And I think that helped to develop me in a particular kind of way, yeah.
Did your mum have a good voice as well? Was you...
Not so much, but you know how hard it is when you want to be able to sing, but you can't, and it's slightly out of, you know.
Tell me about it. I see opposite every bloody week. It's like fingers down a blackboard. In the periods in your life, though, where you've had some periods where you've been fabulously busy as a performer, and other periods through choice where you've pulled back, I know you've focused more on the family or other areas of your life,
that's right.
Various groups and movements you're involved with. But in those periods, do you feel something's missing when you're not able to sing in front of people, to communicate with a lot of people in that way?
That's an interesting question.
Thank you. We'll leave that bit in for sure.
Keep that one in.
20 years, I finally asked one. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the question again? Oh, how does it feel? People think, perhaps, that, you know, this life that we have as performers must be very glamorous, and I think there are certain aspects of it that definitely are. But actually, the amount of preparation and skillfulness and attention to detail that you have to put in behind the scenes, the things that you don't get to see.
Yeah,
you know, it's really quite challenging.
And those periods when you're not doing that, when you're not being challenged in that way, do you miss it? Do you feel is there something? Is there not a void, but is there a need?
I miss. I actually miss being creative. I would love to be in the studio more. I find that there was so many aspects to what I do. The one thing that I really love doing is recording in the studio. I really enjoy that, and I don't always. Like I spin a lot of plates, as a lot of women do that have kids and they've got a job and things that other things they want to do. So I would actually really love, if there were more hours in the day, I would spend those hours in the studio being creative.
Do you sometimes though deliberately waste time? I don't mean like I'm going to throw somewhere, but do you find it I'm just going to do nothing?
Yes, I have to.
If you're pottering or chilling on that, so what kind of things do you do?
I lie down and go to bed and go to sleep.
Well, we all do that.
Yeah, no, I do. No.
That's called
That is,
bedtime.
honestly, no, I know that's
During
called
the
bedtime.
daytime?
Well, because sometimes I have to be up later on, and I'm not really a late night person. I might not get up until maybe about 11:30 or midday.
Yeah, but that's just being a student.
No, but well, that's being a student. But I also have this really contradictory thing in my head because I was brought up with that working class Scottish work ethic that you have to get up, and so I guess in a way I'm kind of rebelling against my childhood by insisting on lying in bed. But I find dreaming very interesting. Do you find dreaming very interesting?
I love dreaming.
Maybe I shouldn't go there.
No, I have some cracking good dreams.
It could lead us into some sort of very dodgy places, and I don't really, honestly, we're going to have the end of the programmes be really clean, really squeaky clean.
I was a fish.
Were you?
In a dream recently, I was a fish.
Yes, tell me.
But I was a fish swimming in the air. Everyone else was normal. No one even noticed I was a fish. I don't want to know what it means.
Yes.
It was a good dream.
Yes, I think there's definitely something to interpret in that.
Can I ask you, do you miss working with Dave Stewart? Do you miss, because that was a partnership in every sense of the word. You were together as a couple for a while, and of course you wrote together, he produced, you wrote songs together. That must have been, it was a all-encompassing.
Look, we met each other in I think it was 1973, 1974, something like that. So, I mean, we're talking 30 years. It's unbelievable to me to think that amount of time has passed. We formed a band called The Tourists with a guy called Pete Coombs, and that was quite a successful group in the sense of the fact that we actually made records.
Well, you had hits, didn't you?
We did,
at least one, yeah.
Yeah, we did. We had hits. And then that disbanded, and then Dave and I formed Eurythmics. And it wasn't just like an overnight success. I mean, it was something that took a little while. And in 1983, I think, was the time that we recorded Sweet Dreams, which was like the landmark arrival point for us. Yeah. And then for the rest of that decade, Dave and I wrote songs, recorded, to every year we released an album, we were making videos. It was very, very intense, and it was like a kind of a juggernaut lifestyle, which I loved because I thought, I'm so fortunate to be able to do what I love, which is making music and be a creative artist.
But and I'm not going to go on about your looks, because I know you're not crazy about talking about that, but I look back on some of your outfits and I loved the way, I didn't realise, and you were pretty far out there. I mean, it was quite a kind of, maybe it's not so bold for a woman, once again, as a man to do that, you know, when Bowie did stuff like that, but it was really quite extreme. You really kind of
Sometimes it was a little bit extreme, but I took the opportunity to embrace that because I just loved experimenting and pushing the boundaries. And because if you're a performer, there are no boundaries. You can actually take charge, you can do what you like. Yeah. You get into this persona, which as a normal person, an average person walking down the street, that's not appropriate, you know. Yeah. So I've enjoyed you sort of embodying all those different personas and characteristics.
Well, you say it's not appropriate, but I still give it a try.
Yeah, you do. I'll give you that.
OK,
you do.
Look, it's been lovely talking to you. We want to hear you perform.
Yeah,
The Annie Lennox collection comes out on Monday. It's got a load of greatest hits in it and some new tracks as well.
Yes.
You must enjoy it, don't you? You must like doing this still.
I am just very happy with this because, in a way, it's like a retrospective of my solo work. And I can look back on it and say, well, that's what I've been doing for since 1990. And it was another sort of aspiration of mine to see what I would be as a solo artist. And I also have my kids who are now young adults. And, yeah, it's a whole history.
I'm really looking forward to hearing you sing this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Annie's going to perform for us live right now, but will you join me in saying thank you to Annie Lennox?
Thank you.
Thank you. I know you have to go, get ready. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
A pleasure. I can't wait to hear. Annie Lennox.